video is basically to understand about the simulation of emitter follower circuit and to measure the input output impedances and voltage gain. The circuit what you are seeing on the screen is same as what we have discussed in the previous video. So you can see that there is a transistor here Q1 and there's an emitter resistance connected here which is named as R4. Output is taken from the emitter through this coupling capacitor. On the input side, you can see R1, R2, and RB, which forms the biasing network. And then you can see an R and C in series, and the input source is connected here. Now, the collector is directly connected to VCC, which is kept at 12. Now, we need to, first of all, we need to simulate and see whether the circuit is working, which is basically we'll do transient analysis and AC analysis. Transient analysis is to plot the input waveform and output waveform of the circuit and see whether the gain of the, how much is the gain of the circuit. So we are expecting actually gain of around 1. Now, you can also see that I have marked two additional labels I have kept. One at the input, which is marked as V in at base. Another one is at the output, which is marked as V out at emitter. So we will be looking at the input signal at base and output signal at the emitter. And if you see the signals at the base and emitter directly, we can see that the input signal and the output signal will be swinging on the corresponding DC voltages. Right. So the very first thing what we will do is, since the circuit is set up and the transient analysis is enabled. Now AC analysis is not enabled. That is where you can see that there is a semicolon here, and transient is enabled with 10 millisecond time period. If you look at the input sine wave, the parameters what we are seeing on the screen, 0 is DC offset. We haven't given any additional DC voltage because DC voltage is already established through this biasing network. The amplitude of the signal is given as 100 milli and the frequency is 1 kilohertz. So with this setup, if I run the analysis, I'll get this waveform window where an waveform window will be coming up. Yeah, I hope you can see the waveform window here. Right, so this is the circuit diagram and this is the waveform window here. If I do right click and if I add the traces, I want to see the input signal V in and the output signal V out. So let me plot this first. When I plot this, both are superimposed here. So what I'll do is I'll right click and add one more pane, and then I'll drag and drop this input voltage here. Right. So here you can see that since I have selected the, I have plotted the input signal not directly at the base, the original input signal and the output signal after the coupling capacitor, you can see that the signal is actually swinging on a DC of 0 because there is coupling capacitors. DC is the DC voltages are not established over there. You will see whenever in LT-Spice when you simulate at the after the coupling capacitor, if you take, the signals will be swinging on 0. So on 0 you can see 100 millivolt. Output also you can see that on 0 you are actually getting 100 millivolt signal. So input and output are almost input and output are, in fact it is equal, so the gain is actually equal to 1. Right. So this is the first thing what we need to observe. The gain of the emitter follower circuit is equal to 1. Now I'll just close this and see what is the signal. I'll just select the signal at the base, select the signal at the base and signal at the emitter, and I'll go back and see. So here you can see the input signal at base and the output signal at emitter. So I'm just adding one more plot pane where I'll be bringing in this input voltage and output. So here you can see that the signal, the input voltage at the base is actually swinging not on 0 volt, rather the DC voltage which is established there, which is very close to 5.68. Now we can also see that the output is swinging on another DC, and from the circuit diagram itself we can say that the base and emitter will have a difference of almost 0.7, which is the cut-in voltage of the emitter base junction voltage when it is forward biased. So this is at 5 point somewhere around 5.67, and this is actually at 5.02. A point 0.6 difference is the DC voltage difference is only that much. And since we already saw the input signal and the output signal, the magnitude is almost equal. So this is how you have to verify the transient analysis, by either looking at the original input and the output, or you can directly look at the base and the emitter. Right. So with transient analysis, one thing what you can conclude is the waveform shape is preserved and the gain is equal to 1. Now, our objective is also to find the input and output impedance. There are different methods to find input and output impedance. One such method I'll show you, that is done through AC analysis. So for that, what I'll do first, I'll make the transient analysis disabled by just giving a semicolon there, and I'll make this AC analysis enabled by making it a dot. Right. So if you look at the AC analysis window, what you will understand is, yeah, if you click the AC analysis, if you're using Windows LT Spice, you can go to the simulation command, edit simulation command under AC analysis. I have selected the nature of sweep as decade. The number of points per decade is 100. I'm starting at 10 hertz and stop frequency is 1 giga. This is what I have set up here. Now, yeah. And one more thing what we need to do is, since you want to perform an AC analysis, you have to go to the input sine wave and keep the AC amplitude as 1. So this is a small signal AC parameter. For the simulator to perform AC analysis, we need to provide an input signal. I'm keeping the AC amplitude as 1. This is for a specific reason. Why I'm keeping it as 1 is because if you keep the input as 1, whatever we plot as output will be equal to the gain, because gain is nothing but V out by V in. When your input is kept at 1, whatever we see as output is directly the gain, right? So this is what your AC analysis command is. Now if you run the simulation, you can, yeah, you will see, okay, let me just close this and run the simulation again. So I'll just run the simulation. So we'll get a plain window. Here I am just adding traces. One is I'll just take the output voltage trace, and I'll click. So both the magnitude and phase will be plotted. So what I'll do is I'll just eliminate the phase plot because I'm just looking at the magnitude plot. So you can see that since there is an analog circuit and we are mostly looking at lower frequency operation, you can see that the gain is close to 0 dB. Since the gain is 1, in decibels it will be 0 dB. So the gain is equal to 0 dB. This is the output voltage. Right. So whatever we have seen the transient analysis, in a similar way, by plotting the magnitude, we can measure the gain in decibels. So the 0 dB is V out by V in, which is expressed in decibels. Right. So after doing this, we can, all right, and just reopening its circuit. Yeah, I kept my circuit here. Now the next thing is we need to measure the input impedance and output impedance, right? So in order to measure the input and output impedance, we'll use the same AC analysis. So what I'll do is, we know that what we are measuring is small signal AC resistance at the input and small signal AC resistance at the output. So I'll be taking the AC voltage here and AC current here. So by plotting the AC voltage and AC current, and by taking the ratio of that, I'll get the input impedance. Now, since I have kept the input amplitude as 1, the input voltage as 1, if I plot current and if I take the inverse of that, because since the voltage is 1, and if I just plot the current and if I do inverse of that, that also will give you directly the input impedance, right? So what I'll do is, just I'll perform AC analysis, I'll just perform the AC analysis. and I'll click on the current which is flowing through this. Yeah, I'll just perform the analysis and I'll plot. So since the input voltage is 1, I just put 1 and I am just entering the expression 1 divided by the current. Current is the current through the input voltage. I can take, yeah, if you just look at this, C1 is there, RS is there, any current you can take. I'll just take the current through RS and I'll plot it. Again, I'll just eliminate the phase plot, and what you can see is 1 by I of RS, where I of RS is actually the small signal current and 1 is the voltage what I said. But since I need to measure this as impedance, and if you look at the y-axis it is decibels, I'll just right click, I'll make this as linear, and that will give you the resistance directly. If you click here, you can see that the resistance is around 92 kilo per ampere, which is kilo ohms basically, right? So for this circuit, when we are not doing bootstrapping, the output impedance is very close to 92 kilo. Now, from the theoretical understanding, what we know is if I connect this capacitor back to this point, and if I again run the same analysis, the input impedance should be much higher than this, because what you are seeing as input impedance here is a parallel beta plus 1 into Re plus Re in parallel with this combination. Now if I change this by connecting this CBS back to this side, the impedance should definitely modify. So let me do that first. For that, I'll just note down this impedance as 91 or 92 kilo ohm, and I'll just close this. And coming back, I'll make a connection here from the CBS back to the input point. Right, so now with this connection, I have actually bootstrapped the output back to input. So now again, I'm just running and going to add traces, and I'm plotting 1 divided by the same current, which is I of RS. It will come along with phase plot. I need to eliminate the phase plot here. Yeah, now if you look at this, yeah, again, I'll just change this y-axis to linear. And if you look at the impedance is close to 1.13, where you can see the impedance is on the top here. Y-axis value will be shown here. If I click here, y-axis value is showing as 1.12 mega ohms, right? So previously it was 92K. Now the input impedance has gone to 1.128 mega ohms, right? So this is how you have to measure the input impedance of a emitter follower with and without bootstrapping. All right. Now, similar thing you can follow for the output impedance as well.